What's going on, people? Liverpool versus everybody. Just wanted to come back as I usually try to do after the game, or the day after the game. During the day of the game, there's a lot of emotion, um, and trying to get my thoughts together of what actually happened and to try to go more in a deeper um, kind of analyzing of the game, the team, the result, things I like, things I didn't like, things of that nature. I want to start with Naby Keita. I think that's a really good place to start. I think people are very, very mixed on Keita. It seems like the majority are feeling like he's just not up to speed, and I don't. I think those points you can argue, and to a degree, I do agree with that. Um, Talk to me about Naby, yeah. Um, when Naby fits in them, and he might be even better than Mane. What do you think? Yeah, so let me get into that. So here's what I'll say, and this is not an excuse for Naby. I just had a conversation with a good friend Gary on Twitter, um, and I just want to say to me, it's worth pointing out that he's playing, at least at the moment and lately. Klopp has put him. I know Klopp loves the 4-2-3-1, so he's putting him on the left. He's trying to find a place in the team for Naby. In my opinion, that's just not his best role. And yes, maybe he played that at RB Leipzig, but I'm sure he played a lot of positions at RB Leipzig. But I think to get the best out of Naby, it's centrally. So in that 4-2-3-1, whether you put him under the striker instead of Firmino, you put Firmino back as that main focal point, Salah back on the right, Mane on the left. Maybe I think it's worth trying that or experimenting with that. I think the idea that you can give teams different looks is always a good thing. I don't think it's necessarily changing the formation for Naby. I just think as good as Naby is, you probably want to use him in the best position. Now, again, he could become amazing on the left side. I don't know if I really see that happening. It's also worth saying that Juan Bissaka is a very, very good fullback. There's no shame in not doing well against him per se. I think centrally though is where Naby. We when you see clips of Naby at Leipzig, do you see him necessarily on the left? Not really. Most of those clips are him bursting through the midfield, kind of a la Ox, what we had with Ox last season. So, again, not trying to make excuses for him. I do think that there's much more to see from him, and I think there's much more he can be doing in games, no matter where he's playing. Um, so again, yes, he has not necessarily lived up to the heights that we kind of saw and expected from him. Let me read some of these comments. Says I agree putting Naby in the center. I agree too. He doesn't have the pace for the wing. Yeah, and that's the other thing that I'm slightly surprised that I expected him to be a bit quicker than he's been showing and that he showed last game. Again, going up against Wan Bissaka, who's longer than him, most likely faster than him. It was always going to be tough when you saw the lineup. You thought, okay, glad to see Naby, but he's probably going to be on the left. How's that going to work? He got his assist, although those kind of assists are kind of silly to me because Firmino more or less did the work on that. It wasn't like he gave an assist to somebody's head and he put it in, or he gave an assist to a foot necessarily and went in. But sure, first assist, great. Um, and my opinion is, although I'm sure I'm in the minority, is you got to keep playing Naby. And if it's a situation where you're going to use him in that 4-2-3-1 on that left side, you got to keep playing him there, in my opinion, because that's the only way you're really going to get the max out of him. Sitting him, putting him back on, sitting him, putting him back on, giving him 10 minutes in the game. We saw what happened against Brighton when he gave the ball away, and that was almost going to be a disaster. I'm so glad for his sake and the team's sake that that didn't happen. Um, but I just think it's worth trying him underneath the striker. That's just my opinion. In the two, I don't know. Maybe we'll see him there at some point as well, but I highly doubt that. Having Henderson, having Genie, having Fab, different guys that are probably more suited to do that. I do understand the idea that Gary was saying to me of, we're at a point now in the season where we might not want to be that experimental. Again, I think that it's not the worst thing to be that way. I actually think he should focus on beating or being a DM a bit like Hendo. Yeah, Joe Allen did. He doesn't have the passing range for the four. Yeah, you're probably right on that. Easy LFC Money. What's up, bro? So, um, just want to talk about that. I think Naby's going to be fine. I think there's a lot of things said similar about Fab. Obviously, Fab has kind of come on a bit quicker, a bit better than Naby, you can say. That's obvious. I think the same will happen with Naby. I'm not really worried. I think, again, as long as we waited the price tag, which neither are his fault, I think that's what's kind of compelling people to be kind of in an uproar or negative about him or doubting his ability or whatever. That seems to be kind of some of the main talking points when he plays or in the team when we get results, good, bad, or ugly, whatever. and he's in the team, I think he's one of the people that people talk about in a not so great way. Mame, on the wing, you need pace or strength. Yeah, or both, especially if you're supposed to cut inside. Yeah, Naby does not, and that's my point. I don't really get why we can look. It's obvious that Klopp wants to get him in the team and wants to get him up to speed. I get it. So you find the best place in his mind. That was the best place. I just think it's worth trying him in that Firmino role. I think Naby has enough. He's combative enough to be physical. Not necessarily do the same job Firmino is doing, but I think he does have the ability to drive forward, get the ball under pressure or not, drive through, find a pass. I think that's more of his kind of level. I think that's where he would probably find the most joy and enjoys football. And the confidence can only really diminish if it hasn't already a bit more playing out of position. I know he's doing his best. I know he's a football player, so he should be able to play across any. I mean, it's not like we put him at center back. You know what I mean? So I get it. I get it. 17 goals in Premier to Salah breaks last year record. Yeah. Fabinho is looking like our best midfielder now. Yeah, Fabinho's a godsend. I mean, and again, I'm so happy for him, but also for us that all these talks about him leaving in January, which obviously we're always going to be a joke and we're never true. Him not fitting in, he's more than made up for that. And he's just such a confident player. And again, he's almost like another defender at times, dropping back there and making slide tackles and interceptions and things like that. So our best midfielder is Ox and Fabinho. Fair enough. Daves, what's up, man? Uh, so yeah, I mean, I want to move on to Hendo. I think I've talked about Naby enough. I'm sure that won't be the last time we speak about him. My final comment on that is that I believe Naby will come good. I don't think he's been awful, honestly, but I think a lot of it has to do with where he's playing. I think there's been 3 times that he's played that left wing kind of player, that left kind of half space player, and then I think most of the other times have been center mid. And we really think about it, if we really look at it, his best performances have been when he's playing centrally. So that's my wrap up on that. Hendo was amazing yesterday, and I don't even need to see the stats, although I've seen them because they're on Twitter. But the eye test is what it is for me, and I thought he was amazing yesterday. Putting in tackles, getting around the pitch, making forward passes. In a game like that, with teams are sitting back, yes, you need to have those, at least attempting to make those passes. Some of them you might be like, oh, what are you doing there? It's too far, whatever. But you need to at least have that threat, or at least have the opposition think that you have that threat. And I think Henderson was doing that all day. But more so the tackling, man, the getting stuck in, the physical work. A lot of that Hendo does goes really unnoticed, or I should say unappreciated, because I'm sure people notice it, but people are so stuck on, I think, giving Hendo stick that they really find it hard to really appreciate the good things he's doing in this team. And so I just got to shout him out. I thought he was really, really good yesterday. And I think, as I said yesterday after the game, I think obviously you can give it to Salah. I think Matip's in that running as well, but I think there's a serious big ups that needs to go towards Henderson, because I think he really, really put himself about and was doing some really, really good work. Naby will come good, 100%. Yeah, Fabinho was good as well. Yeah, he was. No, Fabinho was amazing. He was good as well. Fabinho has been really good over the past month or whatever. So that's, I mean, yes, he needs praise as well. But I think Hendo deserves maybe a bit more, just because of this idea that he we can't win things with him, and we won't win things with him, and why is he in the team, and why is he getting a contract? Some of those things I kind of agree with, but at the end of the day, I think more times than not, Hendo's had some really, really good games for us over the past couple of seasons, and I just think it's worth mentioning that and bigging him up when he deserves it. When Hendo joined, he was marked as a Gerrard replacement, but he learned his game and became a DM, which suits his skill. And again, that's another thing that needs to be spoken about. I mean, first of all, the whole idea of comparing him to Gerrard was, first of all, unfair and just he was never gonna live up to that. I don't think he even wanted to, but I think he may have felt some of that pressure, getting the armband, being that kind of midfielder that people probably thought, okay, Gerrard's leaving, but we got a guy who is not like him but can do some of those jobs. And I think he has done those here and there. He's never gonna be Gerrard. We get all that. But I think what he could do possibly is something that Gerrard never was able to do, obviously, and that's win a league. So, knock on wood, we continue to do that. Jason, what's up, man? Gerrard was the best. Gerrard was definitely a good Liverpool player. I'll say that. I don't want to say the best, but he was definitely a really good Liverpool player for sure. That goes without saying. So yeah, I want to shout out Hendo and just talk about a little bit more in the game. And I think again, I spoke about Wan-Bissaka. He's an incredible talent. To be that young, to be that confident. He never looks shaken. He always kind of knows his positions. And to have, I think, Tompkins and Sacco, who I thought also played pretty well in the game for the most part. Next to him, older guys who've been around, got experience. It can only help him out. I just really see Wan-Bissaka going strength to strength. I mean, seriously, I think he could go into almost any team in Europe and do well. That's how good I think he is. And I've spoken about it before. I think the call up for England, it's got to be coming soon if it hasn't already. He's just really good, ultra talented. He's not amazing going forward, but he also could do that as well. I think Van Aanholt on the other side is a bit better. But yeah, I mean, the guy Wan-Bissaka is just incredible. Assam says, I like Henderson's leadership skills during matches. It helps players. Yeah, it does. It does. And that goes unnoticed sometimes as well. I was surprised we didn't attack Sacco a bit more. Yeah, because Sacco does some really mad things in his own box. Like tricky things behind the back, behind his right leg, chesting the ball down the box. I mean, yeah, again, a lot of the credit has to go to Palace. And we'll talk about the goals conceded and how that was disappointing, things of that nature in a minute. But, you know, their first goal where we pressed them up high and MacArthur or whoever it was somehow got out of that press, you rarely see that. And I think sometimes you don't really count for that because it rarely happens. We haven't been caught out like that on a counterattack. I don't even know the last time that's happened in the league. I'm sure it has, but I can't remember when it was. So they did well, and obviously, we can say we want to about Roy Hodgson, and yes, the players take most of the credit for playing, and Roy Hodgson's never been an amazing, I don't know, motivator or tactician, but they clearly were going through that in training, and they did pretty well most of that game with beating our press. It's really surprising me, but again, you got to give them credit. MacArthur of all people, wow. We let him take the ball down on his chest. Yeah, I was thinking who's covering him. Yeah, Sacco reminds me a bit of Jimmy Traore. Yeah, Palace played well, but Liverpool conceded from an easy corner. Yeah, so let's talk about that after you brought that up. Is that Mate Allen? Um, People talk about the last goal because it shouldn't have been allowed. It shouldn't have happened. Not allowed, but we shouldn't have allowed that. It shouldn't have happened. But to me, it's the first two goals. Things that we know Palace have strengths in, which is counterattack and set pieces. Now we've been far and away better at defending set pieces than we have in a long time, so that needs to be said as well. Um, but sadly, it gave you somewhat not. I wasn't nervous like I would be in the 17-18 season or before then, but it gave you frustrations that we had then. Allowing people to catch us on the counter, allowing a set piece. Now, you could say Andre Ayew did some illegal things and whatever, but at the end of the day, Fabinho's there and he's doing this instead of jumping up. Now, was that because Ayew was impeding him? I don't know. At the end of the day, both of those goals, I'm not just saying this, both of those goals, I saw them coming. When they beat that press and they got the first goal, yeah, the handball and all that, but still, you got to get back, you got to stay. Klopp always talks about keeping your head straight, staying focused, be alert. I think those are the things that I think he can deal with a ball being given away, but he wants you back on the ball. He wants you being assertive, being mentally charged in every moment, and I think that's not a lot to ask from this team or any team for any manager to ask from their team. So. I think those were really disappointing, more so than the third goal. The third goal is the third goal. They get it. It shouldn't have. We shouldn't have conceded it. Allison, in my opinion, you can say what you want, should have stopped that goal. But fair enough, I get it. It went through someone's legs, whatever the case may be. But you need to be stopping that. But the counterattack should have been nullified, and same with the set piece. So, but like I said, both of those situations, you can see Palace was getting some joy, and they could probably score in those moments. So to concede that many goals, to have a second half of what was it, 6 goals. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. I mean, not unacceptable from our point of view, but to have that many goals collectively and to have a team score twice like that, 3 all around, it's not good. But I don't think we're going to see that often. But again, it goes back to earlier in the season. It almost felt like us as fans would have preferred that kind of performance than the defensively sound, controlled situations. There was no control in that game. Now, in the first half, we were the better team. They took their chance. We didn't. At the end of the day, again, it's amazing how many goals we could have at the end of seasons if we just were a bit more clinical. And I know we're not as special in that situation. There are a lot of teams who have situations and goals and they're not clinical. But those are other teams. I'm talking about Liverpool. And I think in that game, Salah probably could have had a hat trick. Mane could have had a hat trick. We'll talk about Mane in a second. But at the end of the day, that Mane goal, after talking about him and not being so pleased with the performance, once again, his goal pretty much wins us the game. You know what I mean? If he doesn't score that goal and they score the goal they score at the end, we go on a draw. Where and can you imagine what people will be saying then? So let me read some of your comments. Um, do you think Liverpool should look at trying to sign Zaha in the summer? Yeah, I mean, he won't start every game like he's doing with Palace, and I think that's partly why maybe he stayed at Palace for so long because he knows. First of all, he enjoys that area. He's very familiar with that area. That's more or less where he was raised. There's a lot of kind of roots there, but also he's kind of the man of the team, and he knows he's going to play every single week. So I don't know. I mean, I'd say yes, but I don't know if he'd be unsettled with not playing as much. Now you think joining a team like Liverpool, you would think most players would like to join us now. What we're doing, how well we're doing it. There's got to be players who've left us recently who are thinking it'd be nice to be a part of that. Maybe Coutinho, maybe Sacco on yesterday, maybe Benteke. Sterling, I doubt. But I'm sure there's guys who think, man, I really would like to be a part of that. So maybe. I wouldn't be mad if we got him. I'd say that. I just don't know if that would work necessarily. Isn't what Jordan? Are you? Oh, I'm sorry, Jordan. My bad. Yeah, you're right. It is Jordan. I probably said Andre. Yeah, on loan from Swansea. My bad. So thanks for the catch on that. We're fortunate on another day. The first Palace goal gets deflected. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Fabinho was there maybe a bit too late. But again, that's why Zaha is so good, and not even always about scoring goals. I think there was a time where Roy Hodgson was playing him centrally, which is just not his situation. But you can see on that wing, he was going to probably beat Milner almost every time. And it wasn't a surprise to me to see Milner get sent off. It just wasn't. It's unfortunate, especially with our situation now, but it wasn't a surprise. And he knew after the second challenge that he was gone. He just turned around and went off the field. I think he was always going to be late in challenges against Zaha. I'm thankful that it wasn't in the box to give them a penalty. But yeah, that wasn't really surprising to me. I knew what I thought was Milner would get at him early, be physical, like he's done a couple of times playing against Sterling and things of that nature. But Milner knows that he couldn't keep up with Zaha. Klopp knew that, and I think we tried our best to maybe help Milner. Maybe not as much as we probably could have and should have in certain moments. But we always knew Zaha was going to be amazing and give us trouble on that side. Whether we gave him help or not, Zaha is a very good talent. He's got an array of different skills. He's shifty. He's quick. The movement with his body is amazing, and he can catch just about any fullback, let alone Milner. So I think Milner did it the best that he could, but that just wasn't enough in certain moments. Again, that's what Zaha can do, especially because there's so much focus on Zaha. So they know that once defenses shift that way, there's always going to be someone open centrally. It's all about if the ball can get there and if the person can finish it, and he did that. And we knew Towson could be a threat. He's shown that against us the first game against them, and he showed it against teams like City and things of that nature. So, it's a shame that Roy has them, or their manager is Roy Hodgson, because I think with that kind of skill set and that kind of team, they could be more attacking and be much more better and be much better than they are, to be honest. But that's their own problem. So, Mane 4 goals in the last 4 games with Palace. Yeah, he has a really really good game. He has really good games against Palace. Everyone knows that, and that's good. And so it was definitely good to see him get a goal. And I thought that fourth goal for us was coming. We had so many chances, and one of those were going to go in. So I think it's amazing. Speroni. Wow. I mean, he didn't have the best game. He didn't have the best game as a keeper. The goal Salah scores, I thought was a bit far right. How he squeezes that in, around Speroni. I mean, off balance. I mean, I don't know how he scores that goal. I'm glad he did. Amazing. But then the goal that Milner squares over and Speroni pretty much puts it in his own net is incredible. Should have played Fabinho right back. See, I don't agree with that, and I respect your opinion. I don't agree with that. I think our midfield was calling out for Fabinho, especially with Genie being out. But I get what you mean. I get what you mean. I think he possibly could have done better against Zaha, but I don't know. I just think we've had Fabinho and center back, and obviously he can play right back. But I think he's his best position in general, but especially for us, is in that midfield, and I think that was the better option. But now we'll be definitely wondering and probably hoping that Trent is back sooner than we thought. Do you put Rafa Camacho there? I think there might be a shout. Again, I'm so thankful that we're not in these cups. And I know that sounds crazy, but it gives us so much more time to rest, recuperate, and also just figure out what we're gonna do. If we had a game upcoming weekend, I think we really be struggling to kind of find out what we can do and who we can have there. So hopefully Trent's back. Even if he is, I don't know if Klopp wants to rush him back, but it is good to have a guy like Fabinho who can play in a number of positions. I can't lie. Um, when's the next game? The next game is on the 29th, I believe, against Leicester. If I'm wrong on that, somebody let me know. 30th or 29th, yeah. Rip Spironi, yeah. Mistake. Yeah, yeah. So, again, we keep it going at Anfield. It wasn't pretty, but this is what we need. And I think we really need. There's a guy on Twitter who I think he probably thought I was having to go at him. I wasn't. I just don't understand why we give attention to people who have bad things to say about us, whether it be with their fingers on social media, whether it be with their mouth. And someone said something about there was a guy who was showing images of or trying to prove the point and educate people was a word someone used of Salah not being a diver. If you don't believe Salah's a diver, then you don't believe he's a diver. I don't know why we feel the need to entertain that. I think the moment he went over in the box yesterday, he went over soft. He went over weak. Does that mean he's a diver? No. But I think of all the calls he's gotten or could have potentially gotten, that was probably the softest. If we would have gotten it, I would have taken it because we would have given us a goal probably, or the chances or the percentage of us getting a goal from penalty are pretty high. So, but I think that was soft with him versus Sacco. I think he went down pretty soft. And of the last ones he's gotten or potentially gotten, I think that was the softest one. But I'm also not concerned with people calling him a diver. Look, he's a foreign player. He plays with Liverpool. Those are two recipes for hatred. I mean, so yes, I understand that it might be frustrating that people aren't talking about, Kane or Dali Ali or whoever else English or in general who dies, but the focus is on Salah. Listen, people want to people want their assumptions and their thoughts in the beginning of the season, which was by and large, Salah was a one hit wonder. The fact that he's winning penalties and getting goals, people don't like that. The fact that it's Liverpool doing well, by and large, people don't like that. Whether it's because they think that they'll never hear the end of it if we win it, or whatever the case may be. The whole Scouser bin dipping thing, whatever. But for me, it's not my job to educate people on anything. If they can't see it, which I don't agree, I just think they can see it, but they don't want to admit to it because it's Liverpool and it's a foreign player. So I don't understand why we need to spend time with threads on proving people wrong or educating people. It's ridiculous. And then Rio Ferdinand said something about us conceding goals and whatever. Listen, Rio Ferdinand, last I checked, was a Man United player. Have I gotten that wrong? I mean, do we expect him to really big up Liverpool? No. But again, do I care? Not at all. We keep winning games. That's all I'm concerned with. And yes, there were glimpses of 2017-18, but that's one game. And we won the game. So I'm not really concerned. There are going to be some games, and the whole idea of, there was someone else who said, finally Liverpool fans can admit that we're lucky. What team has won the title and haven't had a space of games or a stretch of games where they weren't lucky? No one said these things when Fergie won. No one said these things in the moments that City had when they were lucky or whatever. No one really said these things, but because of Liverpool, because people have this agenda, or not even agenda, this kind of narrative that Klopp's a flop and he's never going to win anything, and all of these things about Liverpool and we're serial bottlers, then these things are going to happen. And what's amazing to me is that as much as I think Pochettino is a great manager, and I'm going kind of on a tangent now, sorry guys, I'll get back to Liverpool in a second. As good as I think he is, what has he done? You know what I mean? Like, but he gets looked at as this top tier manager, and what are they doing now? Bottling it again. Now you can say it's the players, you can say it's the manager, but you know, I mean, if I'm not I mean, unless he won a La Liga that I didn't see with Espanyol, definitely didn't do anything with Southampton. He improved them, but it wasn't like he finished top four with them. So again, and you can tell me all the things about not getting money, but again, if that's the case, then why are you managing there? So clearly, he believes in what's going on at Tottenham. If he didn't, I would think he would leave. There'll probably be a lot of offers on the table for him. Will he do it? I don't know, but I just don't get why certain managers get so much hype, so much praise, so much of world class titles added to their name. But anyway, I'm really just focused with Liverpool, and I can care less what people are saying negatively about us, whether it be our own fan base or our rival fans. So, let me just say this to end it off. I get that we react to certain things going through games off sheer just emotion and things of that nature. But again, I can't stress this enough. I don't look at these teams like Palace as bogey teams anymore. I don't look at these teams like, every game we go into, I feel ultra confident that we can win it and that we will win it. And I said at halftime yesterday that we would win that game. We ended up doing it. Now, I'm not special or I'm not touched or I don't have some crystal ball, but I said that and believe that because Liverpool have shown me in every single game that we can win it. And when's the last time that we can actually say that? Even the game against All or Nothing FC, there wasn't much in that game. You know what I'm saying? And it's not the worst thing to lose to that team. They're a good team. But by and large, Liverpool have shown me, and maybe I'm just alone. They've shown me that I have no reason to believe that they can't get out of an issue. Going down 1-0, um, getting back up 2-1, going back to a draw. They haven't given me any reason to think that they couldn't come out of a situation like that, especially in the Premier League. Champions League, we can talk about some other things when it comes around. But in the Premier League this season, why would I sit and be nervous or doubtful? You know what I mean? I just don't see that. So that's my opinion on it. I can see people are dwindling now. So I'll wrap this up. Who's your favorite out of our front three? Ooh, um, Mane's still my favorite. I think Firmino's a close second. I love Salah, of course. Everything he's been doing, scoring the goals. You heard Klopp apologize for maybe not playing him in the best position for a majority of the time to get the result or get more goals. But to score 50 goals in what is it 72 games, it's obviously phenomenal. And it's just amazing to see him really being able to express himself and enjoy his football. His time at Chelsea, I'm sure he'd like to, well, maybe not forget because I mean everything you go through makes you stronger. But again, I've said it before. When I saw him playing, not even at Roma, at Fiorentina, I'm like, this dude. If we can get our hands on him, never thought it would happen. He could be really special for us, and we finally did. So, but Mane is still my guy. Even though he frustrates me sometimes with his decision making, frustrates me sometimes with kind of slowing the ball down when I think we need to just be going. I think he's always in the right positions, more or less. Always in really good positions, always making good runs, tracking back defensively. The connection with him and Rob on that left side is amazing. Um, I just like Mane, so that's probably my answer for now. But I love them all. I think Mane slightly gets it though, just to give you an answer to the question. Um, Zaha used or now dives a lot. He used to dive a lot. Yeah, I mean, again, the whole diving thing is because at this point, it's really my question is what really is diving? Because I think again, the best players in the world have done it. Everyone has done it at least at some point. It's part of the game. It's part of the game, and I think it's more or less about what you can get away with it, and is it really diving or is it embellishing contact? I don't know. I don't know. The fact that Zaha used to dive or does dive now doesn't change the fact that he's an incredible football player. So um, you got to remember that's one thing I would take into account when talking about these things. He was a QPR player before he retired. Um, who was that about before he retired? Anyway, Michael Thompson, yo man, we simply have to win. Yeah, and that's what it's really about. Yes, we can talk about aspects of the game and be disappointed about conceding goals or certain players or situations in the game, how we played. But yes, it's about winning games. And Klopp talked about it, and I think we all should be talking about it. That there's all different ways to win games, and this is why I call Klopp styles galore. He's created a way in this team. He's created a mentality in this team where we say, look, no matter what's going on. He was talking this when he first came. In his mind, no game is ever over. But it's about them. Do you believe that? As a supporter, as the players, do you believe that this game isn't over? Or are you looking at the scoreboard thinking, damn, because there were some of us fans, to be honest, down 1-0 in a game we pretty much dominated with chances galore. In the game 1-0, there were people actually saying we're going to lose this game. And that's just, it is what it is. Feel that way if you thought, but again, I spoke about it before. Some guys have turned from doubters into just more heavier doubters. That's what it seems like. And so for me, I just feel like, I guess it's going to take us winning the league for people not to think that. I don't know. But that was probably, the score said a lot. But just performance wise, I think those two moments when we cut those out, if we cut them, if they don't get past our press, they don't score that goal. The set piece, maybe if there's no holding from Jordan IU or whatever the case may be, they don't get that. And it's a different game. It's a different game. So you can say the defense was bad. I think in certain moments we weren't great. But again, I don't really see a performance like that coming anytime soon. But I will say, Leicester in a position now where they're going to be really really trying to fight. They had a real serious dogfight with Wolves, who are obviously a good team and really really showed something in that game. But so did Leicester. Leicester going down 2-0. You can see Claude Puel was screaming and yelling and trying to get his guys organized for them. The fight back was good. Um, but I think we can expect some similar things from them that we saw from Palace. I don't think we'll concede as many goals. I think Palace, in my opinion, have a bit more threats, a bit more creative players, quicker players. But Leicester again can be good from set pieces. But defensively, they're just not. To me, Palace beyond the top six have probably one of the better defenses. When you not even looking at stats because I don't know the stats, but just looking at the eye test, seeing them play, they're better defensively, I think, than Palace. But also, I probably play slightly different. Although I feel like Palace do sit back a bit. But it's another team that I think could benefit from playing a more attacking style, more open style of play. Personally, so Mane is my favorite. Yeah. Am I American? Yes, I am African American. Um, Mane does work really hard tracking back. Yeah. Joe Gomez and Matip needs to stay fit. They always have that knock. Yeah, they aren't the only guys. Lallana's the same. Henderson's the same. Um, Trent's had some knock here lately. But yeah, I mean, again, I think that's kind of the next step. I think Klopp really, not to get too deep into guys leaving the club, whatever, but Klopp really has to have a look at some of these guys who continue to show injuries. I know that you didn't mention Lovren, but he's another one. Besides Robertson and Van Dijk, the other guys seem a bit weak at times, and that, well, I shouldn't say weak, but prone to getting injuries. Sometimes serious, sometimes long term, sometimes not. But at the end of the day, you don't want to continue to have these guys that are injury prone. And it's not even, and it's harsh and it's unfortunate because all these guys are at a decent level to play for Liverpool, I think. But having these injuries can't help anything. You know what I mean? Because at some point you get guys playing scared. Ultimately, you kind of get guys. I mean, Daniel Sturridge is a shell of himself of what we've known how the the places he reached playing next to Suarez. I mean, that's not who that is anymore, and it's a real shame. It's a real shame because he had everything to be a top talent across Europe, not even just in the Premier League, but especially for Liverpool. He could have gone down in folklore with some of the best forwards, and I don't say that lightly, but you can see the way he plays now. He's struggling with confidence. He's struggling with pace. He just doesn't look the same. He doesn't look the same. And if anything, I think a lot of times, I hate to say this, I know he got the goal for Chelsea, scored against them in the cup, and has got a goal against PSG. He's had some moments, but those moments aren't going to be something that we can really count on all the time. And you can see a lot of those moments are, it's just moments of where you can see he's still a great football player, but he's just not what he used to be. You know what I mean? And you don't want to keep guys around like that. I know that's harsh to say, but it's just facts to me personally. Liverpool 4-3 Crystal Palace, another 3 points in the bag. Yeah, 7 points ahead of it. Yep. Now we have 11-day break before we play Leicester. Well, I don't think it's 7 now, but yeah, I get your point. Um, yeah, 4 points. Yep. It's going to take us winning the league for certain fans to believe the league isn't going to be given to us. We have to earn it. Yeah, fair enough. Copied and pasted my status from yesterday. LOL. 4 points ahead, and it will go back to 7. Fulham 1-0. Oh wow, is that the goal from our former player with the red hair? Ryan Babel playing for Fulham versus Spurs. Yeah, who scored the goal for them? Was it Ryan Babel? Wow. Um, that's no surprise to me, really. I mean, Spurs to me were always going to, and I spoke about it earlier, they were always going to bottle any situation they had. I think the best chance they had was when Leicester won the league. They couldn't do that. They talked a lot of shit, especially Kane on social media, but they couldn't do it. But with him being out, which I'm assuming he's out, right? No Son, who I think is probably arguably their second best player behind Kane, you could say, depending on who you ask. I always thought it was going to go downhill for them. Now they could turn this game around. And, it's an own goal, damn. Oh, look, Llorente, Jesus Christ. Yeah. But, not having, the great white hope, Harry Kane in there, you always knew they were going to struggle. So, tore the defense apart and almost scored with his first shot for Fulham. Wow. All right. Well, yeah. I mean, again, to me, it was a two-horse race before the season even started. And that's just honest truth of how I believe what was going to happen. So, but I think that's it for me. I wrapped it up. Pretty much talked about everything I wanted to talk about. Thank you for everybody who was here and joined in. Really appreciate it. Even some of the new faces that I haven't seen or haven't seen in a while. So enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and we'll be seeing you. Hey, Nicole. Better late than never. Good to see you. Hope you've been enjoying the results. Hope you found a way to enjoy some of the game yesterday, although I know it wasn't our best performance. But like people have been saying here, getting a win was the most important thing. So I'm glad we did that. But yeah, signing off, guys. So much love to everyone. Thanks for always coming by when you have time.